pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Special village board meeting to order. It is May 13th, 2021. Roll call shows everyone is present except for Peter. All the rest of the board is here. Carl McCrary and Nathan Treadwell. 3, new business. A, interim DPW OIC position.
So we received a 2-week notice from our OIC, our current OIC, as he got a job at teaching at a different in a different field, I guess. So
Yeah, on Friday we got that.
So the thought was to not post the position as we were going to for the DPW, because having 2 positions in the same department up at the same time is usually not a good look. And the idea that we kind of came up with was doing a hire for the OIC, who would then take over as of Carl's departure as the director. So that would be your hire if you guys wanted to.
Yeah. Otherwise, we have 2 positions open right now: the OIC and then the DPW. Well, it will be open here pretty quick. If we hire the OIC first, you know, we're going to be paying for their certifications and all that good stuff. So we're going to be up there with pay, and then here we're going to be turning around here in a couple weeks and advertising the DPW, who's probably going to have those same requirements. So why don't we just bring in the deputy DPW for a while, if they have the certifications and licensing, and then once you got that accomplished, and then as you get closer to when I leave, I can fulfill that OIC function for a while and train the new DPW, and then you know, here in a couple of months before I leave, then we can go out and we can look for you know, a recent college grad or somebody who came out of a tech program for water and sewer, and bring them in at entry level and save some money that way. Not that that's the goal, but that would be a smart way to do it. Otherwise, you're going to pay for 2 premium positions versus 1 and an entry level. So me and Nathan were recommending to do the deputy director, make him the OIC for now, let him work down the plant, figure things out, get to know everybody, and they'd also work with me up here, and I'd work with them down there. It just seems to make the most sense, the most both financially and I guess administratively. I don't know.
Yep.
What are you guys' thoughts?
Well, isn't the OIC a full-time position?
Yeah.
I mean, so you want somebody to come in and be the OIC and then somehow multitask enough time to be able to shadow you to learn the rest of the public
Well,
works?
I'm backup OIC as well, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying, you don't necessarily need, you don't necessarily need more than 1 OIC. So if you've got the DPW as the OIC, who can, you know, oversee them and vouch for them, submit forms and stuff like that, then you can get by with just an entry-level person for now.
Okay. So, and your thought is that in the time frame coming up, we'll be able to pull somebody that's fresh out of college versus now?
Well, like I said, it depends on how much you want to invest. Do you want to, what are you getting at? You mean, do you want to look for somebody out of college now and then still do the deputy director? I mean, that's certainly possible, but.
No, I mean, I think it's just semantics is what, as I'm thinking it through, I think it's just semantics that we could still post for the public works.
Yeah.
And just make part of the training, which is what you're proposing to do, is to get them familiar, because I'm assuming we would like them to be able to step in as OIC if they need to be anytime anyway.
Correct.
Oh, it takes
So,
about 5 years of training.
5 years of training to do OIC?
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I meant just to be familiar with ours, right? Because you're OIC, you're OIC
Yeah.
qualified, and then this says
Yeah.
we want somebody that's OIC, that's qualified for.
Yeah. So
wastewater
like I
treatment.
said, you're gonna have to pay somebody big money to come in here one way or another.
Yeah,
So you're either gonna do it for the DPW, or you're gonna bring in somebody like the person that just left and, you know, throw a big pot of money at them. Otherwise, you can bring in the DPW, you know, let them learn the ropes, give them time to learn the plant, to be a decent OIC. Even though they have OIC, you know, every plant's different, you know, everything operates differently, so. But yeah,
This is
if
the
we hire
time of
somebody out of
year
college,
to look for a new college graduate.
Yeah,
This
that's why
is-
I'm just
I mean,
wondering.
we can do that, but they're not gonna be OIC material, not in the eyes of the DNR. And,
Okay,
yeah,
So then you're hiring on a director who needs to know our stuff prior to, you're gonna have too many new people in that position where you could have your director currently training this new director that will be taking over eventually at the end, and then that person will have 5 months or so or a few months, 4 months or so, of cross-training kind of within the whole system, rather than this OIC person who will just kind of know their one area. It's an easier way to kind of bring a new director in.
yeah. We've got a good young guy down there right now that I'm gonna lean on and place a lot of extra work on him, but, you know, DNR requirements are, you know, time and grade, that kind of stuff, and experience. You don't wanna just hand somebody the wastewater plant, or,
yeah.
you know, it could be a costly mistake.
Would we be, so what you're suggesting is bring somebody in, hire him as the deputy OIC that would
Become
segue into the director position?
Correct.
Would we
And then
be,
bring a regular, just a entry-level person.
For
We
the
wouldn't
plant.
actually have this, but just someone that eventually would
Yeah.
become the OIC.
so
Or-
would we be?
Yeah, it
upfront
was gonna
with
take a couple of years, but the reason for bringing in the DPW being OIC is because ultimately the buck stops there anyways. This wastewater plant we got right now, Brian's been running it for me for about 10 years now. And, yeah, I can go down there, I can do it, but it takes years and years of experience even within your own plant. so.
Yeah, when he walked me through and the amount of information that he knew and what he had to keep track of was incredible, but would we be upfront with folks on that? Because maybe somebody doesn't want to be the full-fledged director of public works, maybe
Right.
they do wanna be more. at the
That's why it's
deputy level.
written, we would do a short-term contract with that person, because no one's gonna sign on thinking that they have a chance at, you're not gonna pull another director from another municipality, say you could be our OIC with a chance at being our director. You would have to do it in a contract. That's why in the beginning of the deputy director page, it basically says, you will be, this position will be transformed into
Okay.
the director of public works as of October 11th.
I mean,
So-
and posting, and I understand what you're thinking about with posting it, that it may not look so great, but I think if it's due to retirement, I mean,
Doesn't matter. You
doesn't
don't-
matter, okay?
Anytime so like City of Appleton will never post like clerk and deputy clerk at the same time, because what it
Shows
scares people
turnover.
away.
Turnover.
You would
There are
never apply,
No.
most people wouldn't apply if they see that, because they're worried about why is this happening?
Yeah.
And yeah, if they go to the interview, they'll be able to know,
Yeah.
but it does scare a lot of
Because
people.
I did a little bit of digging and found that there's actually, I don't wanna say a shortage of public works directors right now, but there's a high turnover of a lot of municipalities right now not keeping their public works directors, so I get kinda nervous about this, honestly.
It could be a big deal.
Are we looking at listing it as a
it
Public
says.
Works Director?
I think deputy
It would be
DPW.
deputy director / OIC, and then basically within that, we would kind of explain that it's a director, you will be taking over the director position.
Essentially, we're hiring a director.
Yeah, so it's semantics.
You know, I see.
Could we maybe list it as a Public Works Director and then tell them that I don't know what their time frame that you're thinking about. Because this is a full-time job, and then trying to learn your job and the rest of the village is a full-time job.
Yeah.
Right, so I don't know what kind of time frame you're looking at having this person down at the wastewater plant and then transitioning them to less time there and more over here, but
So they would probably start most of their time in the beginning at the
that's,
OIC.
yeah.
And
Are we
then-
talking 5 weeks? Are we talking?
Well, and that
2
would be
months?
something you'd wanna talk with that person about and kind of sit down and, you know, when we're
Experience.
looking at filling that other position, which won't be filled until probably towards the end of maybe the last few months of Carl's or the last month of Carl's position, to have that other person come in, so that gives that OIC more time to do cross-training up here. But the plan was to do, you know, a half day or so, or a few days a week up here at the admin office for that OIC
I think we would split it even right off the bat, because we're not gonna need them to do the testing. We just need them to sign the paperwork, you know, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, but they also need to familiarize themselves with everything, everything,
So like 60-40 until we get the other person to come in.
yeah.
And then that person would move more to an 80-20
That person
type
would
position.
still do more of the day-to-day stuff, but they would still oversee them and, you know.
Right, but that's more 80,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
type position, so then
Yeah.
they become more 80-20.
Yeah,
So when do they move, when do you need that, when is a reasonable time for them to move to shadowing you as their full-time job?
almost right off the bat, to be honest. Like I said, we want them in here to learn the place,
Okay,
uh,
but right
But
off the
not
bat, I
full-time.
mean,
but not full-time.
no, that's what I'm saying.
It's
Yeah.
Probably-
When, you know your job better than anybody here,
Oh.
so, and how much they're gonna have to learn, and they're not gonna absorb 20,
When do they
almost
switch
3
to
decades worth.
80-20 instead of 40-60?
I would say mid-August,
Yeah.
if not towards the end of August, beginning of September, like we were initially planning, to have the crossover from,
Probably at least a month or so earlier,
yeah,
you know.
rather than 2 months. I mean, he or she would have a little,
But they've got the previous experience of.
Right.
Yeah, it'd be a little
Moving stuff
different,
before
you know,
work.
if we can get the right person, you know, it could make all the difference in the world, so,
And if they get the feel of it right away,
you know.
Well,
by the time that you
and
are
you will know.
actually looking to shadow somebody
Yeah,
much more,
the reason
they
I,
will know whether they want your job for sure or not.
And Carl will know if we want them.
yeah.
Yes.
The reason I want them to spend half the time down at the plant is more for familiarity than anything. Because if they've been in the business a while, you know, they're gonna know how to do testing and setups and all that stuff, but there's so much more to it than that. You know, there's employee dynamics, you know, and just knowing Hortonville, it's a unique place, so, you gotta, you know, it takes a while to learn everything, and we don't wanna just throw them into the fire, which we probably would've done the other way. You know, if we would've only brought them in here a month or so, if we had went out for DPW. This is actually might turn out better in the long run.
And that could explain, like Julie said, the turnover, because maybe these people that are applying around aren't getting the full
No, it's-
picture
It's salary.
and being comfortable, and all of a sudden they're like, man, I'm moving on.
Yeah.
It's
You
money.
know?
It might make them more comfortable knowing they have time to learn the ropes before they're thrown
Yeah.
into the fire in front of the board, that kind of stuff.
It's a lot of
So,
responsibility, and
Yeah.
from what I've learned, it's a lot of it's because of money. They're trying to find a better income. So what kind of salary range, that sort of thing? I mean,
I think we stick with what you decided the other night, wasn't it? Sushi decided?
well, no, for the deputy director position at start, would take over at 28 an hour.
So,
No,
58,000 a year,
Yeah.
56, 58,000, yeah.
And then as of the 11th, then they would be in between that 65 and 70, 60 and 75 range that we talked about. And that would still have to be decided, but, yeah,
60 to 70, October 11th?
60 to 75 by October 11th that day.
When they permanently take over that
Right,
position.
so then you guys would probably decide that with that person that you're hiring on. And it would be your hire, obviously, that's why we kind of wanted to come here, so that we don't, it's not our hire.
So the savings you would have with bringing someone entry level, we could move higher into that 75 range to get someone better, hopefully, for this position.
So then we're gonna relist the OIC, and,
No,
No.
you'll just be
Well,
looking for a
you would-
wastewater
You
operator,
would do operator
or
one or
utility
two.
operator.
Yeah.
no, I mean, after,
No.
after a couple of months,
He's essentially getting rid of this position.
you're gonna get rid of the OIC.
No, we're gonna get rid of the deputy director.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
but the
OIC
deputy
is gonna be
director's
under
gonna
the-
move up and.
It's gonna be
right.
You'll
DPW
continue to be the
OIC.
OIC until one of the other people gets their time and grade and.
Okay, so you're looking for somebody else to move from, you're looking to advance from within,
Right.
for the OIC.
We would hire on
Yeah,
a
eventually.
utility operator one, so someone who's fresh, potentially. And then one of the two people that we have in that position
But-
would potentially
Okay,
become
but in
the
the meantime,
OIC
the
in the
DPW
future.
is also the OIC
Right.
Yeah.
during that interim,
Yeah,
which is
they-
why I said
yeah.
we should, if we're
That
saving
means-
money.
With the DNR, that's where the
We can
buck
look
stops,
higher.
so.
okay, but here's the thing though, if that public works director, let's say after 6 months, says, I don't want this, and they leave.
Then we have
We
no
have
OIC.
nobody that's licensed, right?
Yeah, well, Yeah, and
We have
that,
nobody
that
that's
happens.
licensed.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's
So
the
then
problem.
you would have to go to the financial, you'd have to pay for it.
Okay.
I know
nice to
Nathan
have that
tossed out
backup.
28, but I wouldn't go lower than 60. I mean, that's the range you set for the DPW. I would start at 60. Me and Nathan don't always agree on everything,
Yeah.
but I would start at 60 because you're looking for a DPW.
Yeah,
So don't lowball them too much.
yeah. That's where, that's kind of where I was.
No, I was doing it because
Yeah.
there's a strategic reason because of the fact of the current price of our OIC. It's about the same price as he is right now.
Okay,
So there's no financial impact, where if you hire at a higher rate, you're gonna have a financial impact then. So that's gonna change savings and how we go.
And you will, but you have to.
It's up to you what you wanna do, but
Yeah.
that's
No,
why
but
I chose
Julie's point is
that
a
amount.
little scary, because
Yes.
if this person leaves, this is one and the same, the DPW and the OIC is one guy or girl,
Mhm.
and now we have nobody licensed.
And
Well-
that's what municipalities are running into,
Fast
is they
track.
have high turnover and why they have to get somebody in there quickly because they don't have somebody licensed. That's why it's a churn and burn on these DPWs. You know, it'd be
Well,
nice to
there-
have that.
There are ways
backup.
around that. I mean, it could cost you money, but there are ways around that. DNR's not gonna make you shut your town down if something happens.
No,
like
but if you keep burning through and you.
that. That's why I say if you start at least 60 for the deputy, and then promise them 65 or whatever once the day I leave, or then you'll probably get somebody in here who's qualified, and I just can't see them leaving. I mean, it could happen, but
Mhm.
you know, I mean, if you're waving $5,000 in front of their face, you know, in 4 months, I'm not saying they'll leave over that, but as far as the operator, if you're gonna bring an operator for another town, we pay less than other towns, so you're not gonna
Yeah.
bring in an operator for that.
Do you have current staff that have interest in being an OIC in the future?
Yeah, I've got one guy who's probably gonna end up being your DPW in 15 years,
Okay.
but he's gotta pay his dues.
Yeah, just curious if that's something that we invest that money in for them to.
And we
learn.
do, we take care of our
would be
employees.
Continuing to do that,
Yeah.
it's just because of,
It takes a long time.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
What is the
COVID
cost
didn't
of-
help with licensing and everything.
What's
What
that?
is, what is the cost for someone to get certified?
Well, it's,
Like this,
well,
this
there's
person you're talking
tangibles and intangibles,
Okay,
you know, thousands of dollars in classes, you know, and, you know, hundreds of dollars a year, and, you know, the time you pay to have them train, and then, of course, it's kinda like, well, the military, you know, you have to have, check a lot of boxes before you get that next strike, and it's the same with, you know, your wastewater licenses, grades 1 through 4. We could probably get by with a grade 2, me and Ryan are grade 4, on the wastewater plant, you know, 4 is, advanced. So, typically grade 4 operators make 32, 35 bucks an hour, you know, we're paying 28, you know, so. We technically only need grade 2, even though they're trying to push it to grade 4. So, we've got a good young guy, and I think we can find another one. We just need an OIC to bridge the gap, you know, a DPW with their certifications, that's all you need.
would it be worth our investment in educational courses for one of those people on staff to cover a potential gap? I
We
don't
could.
No,
think-
no, well, no, I mean,
No?
it's not gonna change anything today,
Okay,
cause we're doing that anyways.
okay,
You know, we're growing these people, and, you
okay,
know, sometimes you're too good at it, you know, they leave for Greenville, they leave for Wapaka. You know what happens, we've got, right, like I said, the guy right now working at the wastewater plant, you know, went to Hortonville High School, you know, when he's committed to us, and I think we should be committed to him, but he's just not there yet. He's only been in the industry now a year. So it'll be another year before he can even get an actual license, even though he does everything for us, and he's sharp as a knife, but it's just gonna take time. See, that's what you're paying for with DPW experience. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, and when we post the positions, and this is a little off track, but kind of circles back to this. So when we post positions for like any of the staff down at the water treatment plant or streets or however you do that, it'd be interesting if we up that to, you know what I mean, like, and brought people in that maybe had, let's, instead of them leaving to go to Greenville or Wapaka because it's money,
Yeah.
pull people in here who are qualified.
We can, I don't think you need to. I mean, yeah, you can pay a premium and bring in an operator too. I don't think you need to. You know, it's Hortonville, you know, I've been running utility, well, for 12 years now, even though officially for 11, but, and I've always ran it just a slight profit the whole time. Greenville, I don't know if we're on camera now, but Greenville's been running in the red for the last 4 or 5 years. I've never done that to you guys. We've always maintained our profitability. So when I say we don't have to bring in somebody right now, we should just focus on the deputy director and groom them to be director.
Okay.
And then, like I said, they can learn the ropes down there. They're not gonna be down there, you know, changing oil on cars or not like that. I just want them down there to get to know the people, know what they're doing every day, know the processes,
and
know the lab work.
Totally hear what you're saying. I have no problem with this. My only fear is you're committed, you
can
live in
advertise.
Hortonville, you had that commitment. Some new director could give us a 2-week notice and then we're without anybody that's licensed, and that's what I just don't wanna spread ourselves too thin either.
Anybody can give a 2-week
Yeah.
notice.
Right.
Anybody
I think-
can
I
give a
think
2-week
we're-
notice.
You
I
can start
get
the
it.
payroll person
But
and
right
in
now,
2 weeks she could quit.
We
I
have a
mean,
backup licensed
Yeah.
OIC. If we only have one OIC on staff, then we don't have a backup. That's my
Don't
point,
you
Jean.
contract out then in an emergency?
Yes.
In an emergency, you can't
Yeah.
contract out,
That's,
it
I
costs
think,
you
what she's
much
getting at.
more.
It's expensive.
Cause you're paying for the experienced
That
operator,
costs the
the
village
a
35
lot
bucks
of
an hour,
money.
Well, we
plus
have
their
no
company's
choice.
profit.
Right.
So, I know we've talked about looking at contracts, but it doesn't work in the wastewater industry, cause they have to make a profit, that's what they do. And
Well-
even right now, the contractors are looking for people,
Mhm.
and they're throwing big bucks around.
I have a nephew that graduated with a degree in water dynamics. He works for J.R. Brennan, and he's, yeah. So, yeah, I know, they're paying big bucks right now to try and keep,
Yeah, and, you know, I don't like people that hold that over my head, you know, like employees, you know, I need another raise, I need another raise. But the fact of the matter is, I think Julie's right. We can look for another operator, you know, if one falls in our lap, it falls in our lap, but I think if we get a decent DPW, deputy DPW for now, with some, at least 5 years' experience in the utility, then that'll solve your issues there. Then you can, you know, like you can get the freshest person out of school, or somebody's on their downside of their career and they wanna, you know, get out of the city of Appleton and spend 5 years here. You know, they can be OIC.
yeah. I get that. I
That's
just,
happened before. We had a gentleman that came from the city of Appleton and worked his last 6 years in the industry here. You know, and took a pay cut, and it happens, not all the time.
yeah.
Most of the time though, I wouldn't, 90% of people I wouldn't hire, so I got pretty high standards, so.
If right now public works directors were staying in their positions for as long as you have, I wouldn't be pushing that. But because I know of the turnover, I've been watching other municipalities and there's a lot of turnover in that.
Yeah, some places more than others, but it could be the board's fault, you know, it could be the administrator's fault, you don't know why, you know.
Yeah.
Well, if private companies are paying a lot of money for
Yeah.
that type of.
Yeah, you know,
But
it's money. It really boils down to money
Yep,
is
yep.
what I.
We don't need to go in closed session, but the guy that I wanna lean on down the wastewater plant, I'd like to bump him up to about 80 cents. Cause I'm putting a lot of pressure on him, putting a lot on his plate to run the lab, to do the locates, to take care of the wells. And he's a young buck, but I think he's certainly worthy of 80-something cents or whatever it is. So we'll have to vote on that at the board meeting.
The next one, we can bring it to you.
Because it's up beyond your budget.
No.
Budgeted amount or?
No,
No,
it's just.
well, it's beyond the resolution of the position of the title, so
Oh,
Yeah.
it's,
Okay, I was gonna say otherwise it doesn't.
If it was a
we have it
promotion,
within budget to do it, but it's just,
yeah.
Makes sense.
The way we do it, we have a resolution for wages, and we already set it at one scale.
So are you then creating like a senior position maybe then?
No, it's just a step, just to reward for stepping up and,
Okay.
you know,
Showing that we're invested in them.
yeah. And we, again, good kid, he could probably leave and go somewhere else, but they're dedicated to Hortonville, we should be dedicated to them, it's not gonna cost us nothing.
Yeah.
But again, I think DPW, I mean, Julie's right, do we look for a seasoned operator? I think we're gonna be paying both, cause you're not gonna get a DPW in here, $28 an hour. I think we should do the DPW and also, you know, maybe in a couple weeks then go out for an operator or somebody. Cause right now it's May, if you're gonna hire somebody out of school, it's almost the right time to do it.
Yeah.
So maybe Jim's right, maybe we put the ad out for deputy director and then here in a couple weeks, put the ad out for the operator.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, the
So-
other
Be
part
nice
of
to
the
have
time frame too is that a lot of people, if they're gonna move their family, they'd rather move it during summer months for school transition, yeah.
And that goes back to DPW, probably more so, you know. And Nathan did a bunch of calculations regarding savings. It's not gonna be too much of a hit to do the DPW and the other right now. There will be some, but not as much as,
Well, what are you talking about? Are you talking about hiring a deputy director and an OIC separate, two new people?
No,
Because I didn't
well-
run those numbers.
deputy director and just replacing the operator down the plant in about a month or so.
I ran the numbers for the replacement under the amount that it was,
Yeah,
because by the payout will be done by the time that this person is hired, 6
Yeah.
to 7 weeks. So the director would be fine. The other portion would be in lieu of having crossover for 2 months of you and the director that we were gonna hire initially. So yeah, we would have savings, it's just we don't know.
it would probably
It
get
would
eaten up by
depend
the
on
operator
pay.
position, but I think it'd be worth it.
Okay.
We made a
Basically,
profit.
you would wait 2 months like we planned, because we were going to start this Director of Public Works in August.
But we'd
Yeah.
push
Now
this
we're
first.
starting this person now.
Now,
But
the,
then say, hire this person on then in August, not in 2 weeks,
correct,
but in
Yeah.
August.
correct. So you'd be switching it.
Yeah.
Correct.
But that person would then be guaranteed the DPW position.
Yeah,
So
but
the
that's
first
They're
what,
gonna
one
move
would
their
be-
family and they're gonna move here and they're gonna be the
Right.
deputy at OIC. We're telling them that come October, they're the department.
That's
Right.
why we
That's
have
why
to
you need
be
to make
smart
your-
when we hire this
Yeah.
deputy director.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
that
that's why the
deputy
pay scale.
director
That's
is
why-
what's moving
yeah.
in.
We're hiring for
But we
Carl's
need to
position.
promise
Yes.
them that.
Yes.
We
Oh,
basically are hiring for
Yeah.
Carl's position.
yeah, the OIC is important, but that's not really what you're looking for. You are looking for it, but you're looking for
Correct.
somebody to come to the meetings, to do the budgets, you know, everything I do, so.
Yeah, and it'll take a while to get this deputy on board anyway, so
6,
we
7
should
weeks if
start
we do it, if
as
we're
soon
lucky.
as we can and start advertising for this.
Correct.
Because then we have to do the interviews and the whole,
Right.
you know.
No.
Say it.
Okay. So, Carl, before somebody, is it common that, that a DPW is gonna have, like, regular experience being an OIC? So, I mean, what I'm wondering is, are we gonna, by hiring somebody that's a deputy DPW, right? And we're gonna put a N/OIC, are we limiting our pool?
No, but, yeah.
And are there people that are not gonna take it, that they're not gonna, and
that's
are there people
fair
that,
as well.
are we gonna have a lot of people that are not gonna apply because they don't wanna be an OIC?
Right.
So is that,
Because of the
Right,
fact they're not.
but, again, every community is different. Greenville doesn't have a wastewater plant. Their DPW came from the private sector,
okay,
well, public sector, but big government. Anyways, and there's, you know, down south, there's another community about this size down by Madison. Their DPW doesn't deal with the wastewater, water side at all. They're strictly streets, parks, and so they have no interconnectability. Whereas, about the majority of Wisconsin communities, they do both. So, you should still have a big pool to draw from. In your bigger communities, yeah, utilities are always separate from streets, but not in your normal. You're not gonna probably draw somebody from Alton, unless they've been, you know, they're a manager at the utility or something like that. But then again, they're gonna be limited in experience on streets and snow removal, stuff like that, so. Yeah, every position's gonna have its limitations, or every community.
okay, so,
Greenville, they know nothing of wastewater,
yeah.
other than
So,
sending it to Grand Chute.
so our original listing for your position, was that going to include being qualified to be OIC?
I think
Yeah.
it should be, yeah.
Because
Okay.
if
It's
you
gonna
have
have
this
to be
issue,
otherwise.
then you're screwed and you're having to.
Yeah, but I mean,
outsource.
were we gonna require that?
Yes.
From the get-go, or
I
were
mean-
we gonna potentially say, you get hired and you can learn, you can train for this, or?
No, they can't.
No, you can't do that.
It's 5
We were gonna
years.
require it already.
I would've,
Okay,
I would've said they
okay.
should have had it right off the bat.
Yeah, I just wanted to be sure that we weren't gonna try to, we weren't gonna, you know, cause the Carl's job and the OIC are, they're different jobs. so-
But
They
in
are,
this
but-
community,
Yes.
it's very intermingled, and I
Yes.
guess I wouldn't have even wanted to see candidates that weren't at
Most-
that level.
Most communities our size or shade bigger, you know, your Wrightstown, Seymour's, everybody in charge moved up through the utility,
Okay,
including the administrators. So, well, at least in Wrightstown. So, that's your best choice, or your, if people who paid their dues and worked their way up. You
Okay.
know. Can you find, somebody who has a license but no experience and no, you know, a grade T in training? There's a lot of people out there like that just don't have the experience, but have the certifications. But they're not qualified to be OIC regardless. It doesn't matter how smart they are, so.
okay.
So what are you looking for
So-
tonight? I mean, you're just
Well-
looking,
We're looking for the deputy director, right?
Right, so if you guys are fine with us going forward with the deputy director position, we're gonna post.
And you're thinking 28, and you're thinking 60.
Yeah, I think we
Which
stick
is
with
just
the
a $1 an
original.
hour difference. It's
Yeah,
29 to 60,000 a year.
Yeah, unless they're really qualified. Don't pigeonhole yourself, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, if we,
Uh,
okay,
Minimum 60. Because you might get somebody in here who's much, you know, worthy of more.
I don't know, I don't think it's a big deal if you're looking at a job and you're seeing, yeah, I'm gonna start at 28, but I'm gonna be at this amount, because you're gonna have that in a contract. You're gonna
Yeah.
have their raise in the contract, so that they know that on October 11th, I'm gonna be getting this amount as the director.
yeah,
So, to see, I think it would be a very short-sighted person who would say, you know, I'm not starting at the $29 an hour, there's no way I can do
yeah.
it.
Well, what I'm thinking is, you're salaried, right? And then the OIC is an hourly position. And from.
I think
what-
this one should
what-
be salary.
I was gonna say, I think it should probably be salary too, because, not that I'm saying we wanna really, get over on the person who's gonna come in here, but it sounds to me like they're gonna have the OIC full-time, and then they're gonna have shadowing you part-time, and eventually they're gonna have OIC part-time and shadowing you full-time,
Right.
which goes in as an hourly position they're getting over 60.
Yeah.
Right, so you might as well, in my view, you might as well start them at 60 on the
Yeah.
salary position
That's fine.
instead.
You know, we're gonna want them to attend meetings and, you know, stuff like that.
Exactly, yeah, because you got, hourly is gonna rack up.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's a good catch.
Mhm. I'm fine
And
with that.
with the contract, I don't wanna be a Debbie Downer here, but if this person wouldn't work out, will it be, I mean, we hope they do, right? But,
Well, I think you always have options, you know,
Okay.
and Bob or labor attorney can explain those, but
yeah, I just,
you don't have to keep somebody if they're not working out, so.
okay,
But, I
I
mean,
just,
But we're-
if we're
like
promising them, that, I guess the
Yeah.
question is, if we're hiring them, promising them this, and then we say, oh, this isn't gonna work, and hopefully it would, I mean, I don't wanna be that way.
Well, everyone starts out on probation, so,
Yeah,
you know.
but we should be clear on that in their contract.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, or do
I would have Bob write it up now, just,
you have a contract?
no.
It's not,
It would
it's
be,
just
it would be a short-term
They just
limited.
kinda
contract.
stopped. I don't know, they
employment
used to, but
agreement or
Oh.
something.
Just one day they stopped, I mean, I never got another one, so I don't even know if I'm employed.
Yeah, you brought up.
You don't have a contract anymore.
No, they just, I was waiting on one, I'm still
Well, we
waiting.
figured, you're like, from Office Space.
Yeah.
We'll just put you in the
But
basement.
just don't take
and
my
we
stapler.
can run-
None of our department has to have contracts.
Fix the glitch.
Okay.
It's just a glitch. Well, what are we gonna do about the other position then? Nathan's right, if we post them both at the same time, they can set up red flags like the two other communities in the state that are well-known to operators as
Well, we're
places
posted
to
for like
avoid.
3 weeks, right?
I think
Is there
if
a
we
time frame?
wait a few weeks.
Well,
So-
two at the minimum, I would say, and then we can assess the applications that come in.
Yeah.
And if we get good enough applicants, we might wanna close it early, and otherwise a month.
So, so I would say
I would-
post a deputy
I
for
would say
2 to
3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks, see what you get. And then as soon as we start interviewing for that position, and,
Close
so
down on it.
we pulled the listing, put in one for whatever level of operator you think is gonna be
Right.
required for us to be able to move the pieces that are in place already to get that where we need to be. Because that person won't get hired right away. They'll have to go through the hiring process still.
Well, they may, you know, they may have to give a 30-day notice where they're at. So,
Exactly.
We also might find a really two great candidates. And, I think of like rec director position, it's sort of, we kind of stumbled into something. What if we have like a pool of really great candidates and there's two that really stand out?
I would be so, I won't say it wouldn't work, but that was such a weird situation that we kind of got that I doubt that would happen again. And I doubt someone who would be applying for that position would be willing to be
Stuck at the
underneath for
60.
so long.
Yes,
Okay.
60.
But if it does happen, we still have to
We
list,
still-
we
you
still
guys
have to
still-
list it no matter
Right.
what.
And
But if it does happen, we can
You
deal with
guys-
it at the
We might
time
find
and
that this
potentially
person
go to the
would be
person
great.
and say, hey, we really like you.
Yeah,
and We have another position,
Yeah.
but we have to list it, we're obligated, so.
And they'd have to apply.
Yeah, you have to
Crazier
apply.
things have
So,
happened.
So you'd have to do the routing.
so yeah, we can
Yeah.
deal with that if that does happen.
Yeah.
Right.
I just think
That's,
that would be, because you
Right.
don't know.
You never know.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the first round of applicants and the second round of applicants may look very similar to each other.
Right.
Well,
It's possible, yeah.
we could just thank our lucky stars if that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's important that they're compatible with you guys. You're special.
Oh, we're special on it.
The stapler's going away and we're fixing the glitch.
Yeah.
Sneaky special. Mm-hmm.
You know, that's half the battle, it's just getting by, getting along with people. You know, and employees as well.
Getting
Yeah.
along with you.
Employees, even the community, and the fact
Especially
that we
the
have an
community.
amazing school district is a huge plus for us trying to pull someone in.
That's
You
a
know.
drawing factor right there.
Huge draw.
So the interview process, I was thinking similar somewhat to the admin other than the dinner or the lunch portion. It's kind of, yeah. So if you guys wanted interview day to just do interview with the department heads and the tour, I guess.
I think when I was hired, you interviewed 3 people. Well, not you, but who was here at the
I
time.
don't think it's gonna be an all day
Yeah,
affair like the
same.
last one was.
Yeah.
It would be a few hours and it probably would be after work.
And the process gave the candidates an idea too of a little bit more, because there were people from outside the community that didn't know.
And like I said, whoever you settle on, you should give them a decent time to get here. And, you know, it's the same with the administrator, you know. Give them time to, you know, they may have to buy a house, who knows, or drive for a while, or could be anything, so.
Okay. So
But
do
you're
you
putting
need
them
a,
at your place.
So, yeah.
what do
It'll
you
go
need
on
from us?
market, September 1.
Just a motion to accept the deputy director position so that we can go out to fill it.
Do we have to do anything to pull back on the motion we made to post for the director of public works right now? We
Not
wanna maybe just put it on a
necessarily,
hiatus? No?
We can bring that to the next one. It's not necessarily on the
Tonight.
agenda, so there's completely different position technically, so.
Okay, just didn't know if we had to pull something back.
You could just say you're modifying the original motion.
Okay.
Are you gonna make a motion to allow him to go out in a couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks to, or do we wanna bring that for the assistant? Or the operator? Do you wanna get them to approve that now?
No,
No,
Well,
Not on the
actually,
agenda.
we don't have to,
right, that's
that's
not
a
for a
normal
while.
position, you already approved that position.
Well, and that's not for a while either.
I would bring that
To
to
the
a
next board
board.
meeting.
Well, I don't think he
Yeah.
has to, I mean, he can
Yeah.
replace, I mean, that's already created an established position.
Right.
We normally don't, I mean, we'll just inform you, but it's not something that would need a motion.
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
assistant, but we
Not for
were,
this, well, just for a
an
wastewater
operator.
operator.
Yeah,
But
let's
that's,
just handle this
further
one
in the
tonight
future.
and then,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what you're looking for is a motion to approve the deputy director of public works OIC position and to post it. Is that the motion you're looking
Correct.
for? Then I make that motion.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Therefore, we do not need to do 4, 5, 6, or 7, or 8. Correct? We are not going into closed session, so we would just need 9 and a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're now adjourned.